Okay, Tuesday, Parshas Ekev Tufshin Pei Beis, Memory Palace for mishnayos chagigah. For this Masechta, the memory palace I used was our house 933 in Birmingham and Manchester, and here we go. Okay, so Perek Aleph begins. We'll start in the crawl space. So I'm picturing the crawl space. Tom Brady playing football back and forth, all that football game going on in a little crawl space in the basement. Now, why a football? Why Tom Brady? Because Tom Brady had number 12 on his jersey, and there are 12 cases in the Mishnah that discuss people who are putter from Re'iyah. What are the 12? So they can be broken down into groups of 3, 4, and 5. 3 people don't have das, there's a cherish of a katan. 4 people are not called men, they're tomtim androgynous, nashim, and avadim, shenem, shachrarim. And the 5 cases are people who cannot walk. Those are chiger, chola, suma, zakein, and misha, yachalas, baraglov. That's the first part. Moving into the big room of the basement, we got, imagine children, or maybe even adults, and then children riding on their shoulders, really running around. The place is packed with these adults with the children riding on their shoulders. And this represents the machlokes which I may still about what age is a child mechoyev in Re'iyah, what age is the gil chinuch. So they still holds, you have to be able to hold hands and go with your father up to Yerushalayim. And Shami holds riding on their shoulders is enough to be mechayev you. Finally, going now to the first floor. So on the porch outside of the house, I see there animals for sale, and someone's calling out one animal for $1, another animal for $2, because the machlokes which I may still here is if the Olas Re'iyah has to cost a minimum of $2 and the chagigah $1, that's Beishamah. Your Beisil says, no, Hashem wants you to put more money into chagigah. Chagigah is $2, 2 ma is the smallest silver coin, and the Re'iyah is going to be $1. Moving inside the house, into the living room, we have 2 giant boxes of coins. One is marked Meiser and one is marked Chulin, and it's a discussion of when you're allowed to use your Meiser money, Meiser Sheni money to buy the karbanos, and when you're allowed to use your, only allowed to use the Chulin money to buy the karbanos. Moving into the next room, we have a bunch of ancient-looking Israelis sitting around the table begging, we want meat. They don't want chicken, they want meat. And that's the halacha of a shalom simcha, that it specifically has to be meat. Any carbon is fine that they're getting their hands on, but it cannot be chicken. Moving into the kitchen, we imagine a very thick wallet full of money, tons of cash, a very thick wallet, and using that money to buy karbanos, and that's the idea of ish k'matnas yado kevirkas shemokecha shenas alach. How you're able to, you should buy karbanos based on what you can afford. Moving into the playroom, we have a big calendar on the wall there, and actually I see Priva, another makeup artist, putting on makeup on 7 days on this calendar, because this signifies the 7 days of makeup karbanos for the chagigah. Now we're going to scoot into the bathroom, and there's a woman who's pregnant with a mamzer, and the mamzer is trying to come out, and I'm trying to push that mamzer back into her uterus, but it's not really working, or she's pushing it out very strongly. And that's the idea of ma'ovis layuka aliska and v'chesra layuka limanos. You cannot fix up such a mistake. Moving into the garage, and I see someone trying to matir neder with the 3 people as the bezdin, and they're actually floating in the sky inside this garage. And next to it, I see mountains being held up by hairs from the ceiling. And that's the idea of Hetadar and Parachim Ba'avir, and Shabbos and several other topics in Torah are like mountains, Pluyos Bisar. Moving upstairs, we now actually have to Perek Beis, because in my room, I'm picturing in that big space in front of the bed, a big Merkava, a big throne of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shiny throne, and there's actually 2 luchos on top, because that signifies we're now entering Perek Beis, and it's so shiny, and that's the idea of Ein Darshan Merkava Be'echad, unless it's a Yachid Revi Midaitai. Moving into the closet, and I'm there by the window trying to control this drone, and I'm flying this drone into the sky, trying to get like a glimpse with a video camera attached to the drone, get a little bit of a glimpse of what's going on in the sky, malamala, and that's one of the questions you're not really supposed to ask. Malamala, malamata, malafinim, malachar. You're not really supposed to ask those questions, and if you do, royal olam. Moving into the Mishnah, moving into the bathroom in the master bedroom. So in that bathroom, there's a lot of animals there, and I'm trying to do smicha, and it's yomtiv, I'm doing smicha, and some rabbis are just saying, go for it, go do the smicha. And a bunch of rabbis just screaming, don't do the smicha, it's yomtiv. So this is a very, very famous machlokes. Many rabbis in the Mishnah on either side, yes smicha or no smicha. Moving into Penny's room, and I see Penny's in his crib, and he's got olos, and ola, and a shlamim, and big question, does he do smicha or not do smicha? So Vishama is telling him, don't do smicha before Yom, not on Yom Tif, and you can only shech the shlam, not the ola. And Soul's like, no, do smicha, shech both. And Penny says, okay. And he does the smicha, he shechs the ola and the shlam in the crib, and it's all over the place. Oh, it's so many karbanos there. Then moving into the big room, and the big room, and a big part of Penny's room, is we have, very strange, a big cheesecake with 2 Shabbos candlesticks on top of it. And right next to it is a crack pot plugged in, and I open it up, and there's no cholent. Instead of a cholent inside, there's a cheesecake. So This signifies the Mishnah of Shavuos that falls on Friday, that Beis Shammai says the Yom Tavoach for the Karbanos really on Sunday, and Beis Hillel says no, it's Friday because he holds you allowed to bring it on Yom Tov. And then you have the other case where it falls on Shabbos. Everybody agrees it can't be the Olach Shalom on Shabbos, so the Yom Tavoach is going to be on Sunday, the Kuliyam. But because of the Tzedukim and those people, we have to be very careful that Kohen Gadol doesn't wear special begadim, that we're matir Hesped and Titus on that day because we don't want the Tzedukim to get any credibility. Moving into the bathroom, we now actually jump into the part of the Masechta that goes with Tumah and Tahara. And the Mishnah, imagine, have 5 rolls, and Joe DiMaggio, he's the guy number 5 on his jersey, so we're going to imagine him juggling 5 rolls. And I go to the bathroom and I wash my hands, I grab a roll, and I wash my hands again, I grab another roll, and another roll. Finally, for roll number 4, I actually go ahead and dip my hands into the bathtub. And for roll number 5, I actually jump into the bathtub and come out and eat the roll. And this signifies the washing Tilas Yadayim for Chulin, Meiser, and Truma, and the Tilas Yadayim in the mikvah, Tilas Yadayim really rather for the Kodesh, and Tilas Aguf, because it's Bayadav Ritma Agufai for the Chatas. Okay, moving along into the guest room. In this guest room, I am seeing very strange, like, those type of toys, like a bunch of different layers, different levels, little like group of floors there. On each floor, there's a big mikvah. And I jump into the top mikvah and I'm able to access all the levels of floors. But if I only take a bath on a lower level, I could jump as high as I want. And the guy is jumping up, and he can't reach up to the higher level. You got to be on the higher ground to be able to get to the lower ground. That's symbolized, if you go to the mikvah for a chulin, you cannot get to a higher level of truma. If you went for truma, you're allowed to eat the chulin, and vice versa. So you're only able to go downwards, but you can't go upwards. Moving next, again in the closet, I open this closet, and there I have Joe DiMaggio again, and he's squeezing all kinds of clothing on specific layers, because here too, the big day, Ochle Truma, let's say, is considered tummy for the Kodesh. There's different levels, all 5 levels, again, Joe DiMaggio, number 5 in the jersey, there are 5 levels of Kedusha, as far as the clothing goes in the closet. Moving into the office room. So in the office room, I have this big scale. And on one side of the scale, I got this karkatcha, this meat, and it's actually weighing down the scale so much. On the other side, I got this truma grain, a pile of grain, but it's not too heavy. And what makes this meat so heavy is that Yao Ming, tallest basketball player, a giant Chinese fellow, is actually clinging to the meat, and he's actually trying to take a bite at one of the burgers that are on side of the meat side. And he's really weighing down this meat. He's a big fellow. He's actually weighing down this meat. Now, why Yao Ming? Because he's got the number 11 on his jersey. And this symbolizes that there are 11 chumras of Kodesh over Truma, which we'll go through in a second. Now, since this is the first mission of Paragimel, don't forget to picture Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the 3, and they're actually watching, and they're actually applauding Yao Ming's stunt. And they're applauding in the corner of the room there, watching what's going on. Now, what are the 11s? The first thing we think of Yao Ming is a basketball. And imagine Yao Ming holding a keli b'soch keli with a basketball propped out as a cover. And there's a halakha that by true we're allowed to be tovel keli b'soch keli, but not by kodesh. But when I'm holding this big heavy keli, actually the handle breaks off. And that symbolizes to me the next chumrah, which is that the acharayim, tocha, beis hatzit, and the handle are considered separate for truma, but not for karbanos. And then we have the next chumrah, because this handle, I now took it and I made it into like a shoe. And I'm holding in one hand a barrel of truma, another hand is shoe. And that reminds me that you're not supposed to hold a Zav's shoe when you're holding the barrel of Kodesh, but you are allowed to hold it when it's a barrel of Truma. Then we have, imagine that barrel shattered, boop, and landed all over my clothing. So that reminds me that clothing, the clothing of someone who eats Truma is considered tummy for someone who eats Kodesh. Then I go ahead and take the shirt to the mikvah, and I'm actually sitting and undoing all the stitches, and I'm putting it in. And that reminds me that for Kodesh, you have to untie all the knots before you're tovel it. Now, while I'm by this mikvah, there's an old man who's working at a table there, building a huge spoon. And he's, look, I made this keli b'tahara. And they tell him, yeah, but for Kodesh, you still have to go to the mikvah. So he puts it in the mikvah for Kodesh. And then he wants to donate tons of stuff to the Beis HaMikdash. He fills this major spoon up with ketores, and he has it delivered to the Beis HaMikdash. That reminds us the halakha that for Kodesh, everything that's contained inside one keli is considered as if it's one. It's kli mitzareh. When he gets to the Beis HaMikdash, it's so heavy, the kohanim, they need backup kohanim. And there's a big question. The supervising kohen is like, do we need 3 or 4? That reminds us whether a truma only has a shlishi l'toma and a Kodesh even has a revi l'toma. Finally, they say, I know we'll get a couple guys, and we'll let 4 guys, but we'll tie one of their hands to their sides. It's 4 guys, but each only using one hand. And that reminds us of the halakha that for Kodesh, if one hand becomes tummy, the other hand becomes tummy as well. So they schlep in this spoon, and they're really tired out. It's very difficult. So they sit down to have a nice lunch. And what do they eat? Very dried burgers. And they think, oh, it's very dry. We don't have to wash our hands. It never got wet. And the Kohen Gadol tells them, no. For Kodesh, you got to wash your hands, even if it's very dry. So that's the halakha, because chibas, the chibah of Kodesh, the machshirasa. And then finally, when they're sitting around their lunch, someone runs in, I was b'chus Kippurim, I just brought my carbon, and now I'm ready to eat. And they pick him up and say, no, first eat the mikvah. And they actually forcibly dump him into the mikvah. So these are all the 11 chomer by Kodesh by Trumas. Moving into the laundry room, where we see on Amara, it's a Lewis. Remember Lewis? So Lewis is in the laundry room, and he's actually making wine from scratch. It's squeezing grapes into the washing machine and squeezing grapes into the dryer. And what halacha is, for the kodesh, we're going to believe in that it's tar, but not really for anything else. For the truma, maybe certain times of the year, though, at the time when he's making the wine, when it's managidus abadi, we'll believe him that it's truma. Then I open up the closet in the bathroom and I see Louis playing Casio. I didn't know you could play Casio. Yeah, so I can play Casio. And he's holding up this very special bottle, which is a concoction of truma mixed in with kodesh and tevel. A little bit of a complicated case there. And in that actually complicated case, we believe him, but only 70 days before there's managidus abadi, and that's Casio number 70. Okay, moving up to the attic, where we have this halacha. I see the chashmonaim. The chashmonaim, they came from the place called Modian. And so when we think about Modian, we think of the chashmonaim. And they're upstairs, they're selling containers, kaderos. They're selling the kaderos, they're throwing them down at the customers. That's through that trap door, through that ladder, throwing down at the customers. And that's the idea that min Modian v'lachutz, they're not believed, but Modian lefnim, they are believed as far as whether they're tamei or not. Okay, we're now moving on to the outside. And on the back porch, imagine a bandit, dressed like a ninja, coming running and saying, I stole this barrel, I'm sorry. And he puts it down and he runs away. So if he's doing tshuva, we believe him to say that I didn't put my hands inside this barrel and that it's tar. Okay, stepping down outside, move over to the swing set, which is on the far left of the yard, and I imagine once again, I see a Lewis there, and he's opening up a barrel of wine or a dough, and he's actually selling from it, and that's the machlokas. What do you do if you, Amaretz, who you believe during the regel, what do you do if I have a half-open barrel and the regel finishes? So that's a machlokas tonight. If we believe him that it's tar or no, well, we say maybe wait till the next regel because we don't believe you anymore. Moving over to the monkey bars, I see David Kohen Seal, the Kohen, who's wearing his big day Shabbos, and we really want him to be tovel the parts of the azar that became tummy over the regel. And he says, no, it's Friday. I'm not being tovel. There's actually a machlokas tanoim if you were able to do it on Thursday or not. But Friday, everyone agrees you're not tovel the objects. Now moving into the shed, and this actually I picture a big stop sign here because this is the end of the Masechta. We're about to finish the last step of the Mind Palace here, and I see tons of backup in that little shed, backup items for the Beis HaMikdash, because when they're bringing it to the mikvah, you would have to have backups. Obviously, the menorah and the shulchan can't have backups. They have to be tummy. They got to always remain pure. But other things can have backups while they're being tovel. And then there's two rabbis fighting over the Mizbeach Hazah, Mizbeach HaChoshes. Do they need mikvah? Do they not need mikvah? On the one hand, they're mitzupah. On the other hand, the mechubel karka. All that fighting about whether it needs a mikvah, doesn't need mikvah. And then get the big stop sign right there. Hanjar Allah, Masechta chagigah.